just to tell you a little bit about myself, like I've been involved with relay ultimately since 2004, so for quite a while. And I'm here in Central Texas, and I support some amazing events. Amanda.
Hi, I am Amanda Messer, and I am from Kentucky. And I have been with ACS for collectively, I've been here twice. I took a little break to get married and have kids there kind of in the middle. So collectively, I've been here almost 8 years. And just like Rebecca said, I staff some amazing events. I've got some volunteers. I hope they've jumped over to this call. I know they were on the last one, so it's kind of nice to put voices and faces with who you are if I've not actually found you on Facebook or stalked you out that way. So looking forward to a good evening.
So our session is going to be a little bit like the marketing session. It's going to be more of just us having some conversations. So one thing that our topic this evening is bringing the wow factor to your event. I first want to start off and say that I think this is something that people stress about. And it really doesn't take that much to, I think everyone thinks, oh, I have to have this event where we have it on a track and it's, the field is full of teams and campsites and there's people everywhere. And, that's what's going to bring the wow. But it's really, when Amanda and I started chatting about this, we just started, bouncing ideas off of events that we've been to and seen and been a part of that were just really fabulous. And one of the ones I can think of is one small event here in Central Texas. And we have joked for many years that when you go to the Relay for Life of Grimes County, you're going to eat around the track. They are all about the food. And it's absolutely like everyone that goes to that event talks about the food that the teams sell. They have everything from crawfish to like a fry truck doing chicken tenders and French fries to fried turkey legs to, chicken sandwiches, sliders, pulled pork, walk-in tacos. They have like fried Oreos and Snickers. And I mean, it's like fair food galore. And their event is always, and I feel like it has that wow factor because it's something so different. And every person that's ever been that I talk to, that's one thing that they talk about is the food. And I know I'm hungry too.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, I think sometimes we overthink things. And so we think that we have to have all this. And I know Amanda, has some examples of events that she's been to that have been, had the wow factor. And so I think sometimes we just overthink it. And then I realize I really talk with my hands. So Amanda, what do you want to share?
Yeah, I think when I was here before, really looked a lot different. When I was here in 2005. So I think one of the wow factors back then that I really think could be incorporated again today, it was a college event. And of course, I'm not sure if there's any college people on here today, but I know that working with college students can be different, but we can also, I think, maybe incorporate this into just regular events. And it's the games that you have. And as a parent of a 14-year-old and an almost 12-year-old, as she likes to tell me all the time that she's very close to 12, I'm constantly looking for something for them to do. I don't want to go to an event and I'm going to be asked, Mom, I'm bored. Mom, when are we leaving? Mom, when are we going to go home? I want to be able to go to the event and say, all right, here's $20, stay in this area, come back if you need something. What can you do? And I think it's the games. Some of the games that kind of stood out that were wow factors at this one was the frozen t-shirt contest, or it was the wet t-shirt contest. Well, okay, now let's don't let our minds run wild, but the wet t-shirt contest was a frozen t-shirt in a ball, and you had to be the first one to unthaw your shirt and get it on. And let me just tell you, I laughed until I cried at these college kids, how you couldn't dump it in water, you couldn't use heat, you had to physically beat it against something, you had to try to pull, and they were, trying to warm it up and trying to get stuff, stuff like that, to thaw out the t-shirt. So that was one thing I think that stood out that was like, wow, okay, you got to have games, you got to have things to keep kids of all ages. And, you can do fish ponds, you can do anything like that when it comes to the wow. And if I don't know about you all, but if I was going to an event and I seen like wet t-shirt contest, back in my younger days, I probably would have been like, okay, like they're going to be all over social media because who does that? Like, what kind of event does that? So I'm probably going to go to be nosy, and then I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to stay by Luminaria and I'm going to get some good food. So the second wow factor is, I think, going back to the basics. I went to an event a couple times ago, a couple years ago, and it was at Survivor Lap. And of course, Survivor Lap gets me every time. You've got these survivors walking around a track or in a gym or around a park or wherever they're walking, and even if they don't have a lap. But this one particular lap, this one particular event stood out in my mind was because when they got back around before we started the caregiver lap, they had and I had no idea this was coming. Like, I was a staff partner and I had no idea that my committee had planned this. There was like 10 confetti cannons, like those little popping things that went off, and they walked through it and they were surprised and I was surprised. And just to see the sheer joy, it was like, wow, like, okay. And I could not tell you how many other events that I had that I told, I'm like, all right, guys, y'all got to do this because that was amazing. The survivors loved it, their families loved it. And it just so happened to be the picture that went on the front page of the newspaper was the survivors coming through with the confetti raining down on them. So that was just like two of the kind of the wow factors that we have done. So I guess Rebecca and we just want to hear what are some over the top wow factors that you have experienced at your events or been a part of that just really just made your event above and beyond.
I know in the chat we have, because I don't think Selena can chat. She said cupcake bingo for the kids. That sounds amazing, and I'm well over the age of a kid, and I'd love it. Holly also put a lip sync contest, hula hoop contest, scavenger hunts, good things for kids of all ages.
When Selena's talking about the bingo for the kids, I tell you something that, and you wouldn't think that and I don't know if Little Debbie's are big around y'all's neck of the woods, but okay. We ask all the teams in several of my events to bring in like 4 boxes of Little Debbie's. We charge $1, do a cakewalk for a kid. They think they are winning the lottery when they get to go pick a box of cosmic brownies on the table. It was like these kids are like lining up, and like, you don't have enough numbers. You got 30 numbers, and you got 30 kids, and you got 15 over here waiting to like pay $1 to win a box of cosmic brownies. When there is other things on the table, there's homemade cakes, there's cupcakes. No, the kids want the cosmic brownies. So just anything small like that.
So what have y'all seen that really just made an event?
I'll speak for Selena since she can't talk. But an event that I went to of hers several years ago, she actually had Hungry Hippo, like life-size Hungry Hippo, and they had laundry baskets and balls, and were on a skateboard and had to like Hungry Hippo the balls. That was hilarious. Selena always has really good activities. But one event that I went to in Louisiana that wasn't Selena's, it was very, very small, and they didn't have a huge turnout. But the thing that made it so special is at the Luminaria ceremony, we actually came together in a circle, held hands, and we sang This Little Light of Mine. Y'all, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I'm an easy crier anyway, but I still remember the way it made me feel that night. And I sat there and I said, "Wow, this is what Luminaria is supposed to make you feel like."
We actually did that when I interned. It was a very rural event in Virginia, and the only events I'd ever been to were the huge, crazy big, had like 300 teams. I mean, this is way back when. And I went to this rural event and there was like 7 teams, maybe 50 people there the whole time. And we did the whole, and it was in a parking lot and we held hands for the Luminaria. And I don't think we sang. I don't remember exactly what we did. I mean, this was a long time ago, but like I was just in awe because I was like, I mean, it was the craziest thing ever. And you would think that like, oh, the bigger event was, would have been way better, but it was just something about it was, yeah, it was crazy.
We had
I like
this year, for the first time, we had when the survivor is told, no evidence of cancer, and then ring that bell. All right, so this year, for the last lap, the closing, we had the relayers to go past and ring the bell and announce who they were really relaying for. And I mean, there was not a dry eye because the children, I mean, they were telling you who they were on that track for. And it was just such a touching moment. That's real wow. And that's how relay ended. And that's what people remember.
Yeah, I've got goosebumps. I mean, I know y'all can't see them, but I've got goosebumps when you just said that. But Jessica put in the chat talking about the glow stick ceremony, and I had an event do this. And this is one of those moments where there's not a dry eye in the house. We walked around, we decided to do something different. We set up all the Luminaria bags and we turned out all the lights, and none of the bags were lit. And we started out, with a poem and with a song, and they come on the mic in the center, and we ask, and everybody was encircling all of the Luminaria bags. And at this point, we still hadn't lit any bag, but everybody had a glow stick. And then we got to asking, if your mother is if you lost your mother, and or your father or your brother or your sister. And then we went to aunts and uncles and grandparents, and then we went to a coworker, we went to friends, and it did not take long before nobody had a glow stick because they had popped them all. And it was the most touching, like, oh my gosh, when you stop and think about, like, wow, like that did not take a long time to light all those bags, because literally every single person had been touched in some way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, you have your hand up.
I do. I wanted to share something that has stuck with me. It was something different. I remember my husband telling me one time, because he got to voluntold to come to a lot of relays with me every year for many years. And he would say, once you go to one, you've been to all, because everybody does the opening ceremony. They do the survivor lap. They do the caregiver lap. So the last few years, prior to last year, a few of my events during the Luminaria, before we even started the ceremony, we started asking any survivor that was present to go stand behind a Luminaria bag that had their name on it. So when survivors checked in, we made sure that we handwrote their name on a Luminaria bag so that every single survivor would have a Luminaria bag to represent themselves. But we asked them to put on the track, and when the time came, to please go stand behind their bag. We did the glow stick ceremony. I've got the scripts, just like Amanda mentioned. Ours is a little bit different, where we would read the script from up front. You could hear the cracks. That was what was so powerful to me, not just seeing them, but actually hearing the cracks happen. And we told everyone take the first lap, their silent lap. But the second lap, we were asking everyone to walk around, just reminding them that every bag is a name, every bag has a story, every bag has a journey. But for people to be able to actually put a survivor's face with the bag, we were telling them, stop and celebrate that survivor, give them a hug, give them a high five, take a moment to tell them congratulations on being there. And I had survivors tell me that that meant more to them than their survivor lap, because they had actually had a chance to sit and reflect on their own journey, but also for people to walk around and see that, in the midst of all of these bags, here's someone standing and I can actually see their face and see their bag. And it was really powerful. Sorry, I get teary thinking about it still. So
Like see
That's
one.
powerful.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
I like the idea of having them like stand behind their bag.
Yeah, I like that.
Um,
We had Michelle help me. We had a flyover
I was just
in
thinking
New
that.
York. We used to have at the end of the luminaria ceremony, we'd have the county would send their I guess a helicopter plane, whatever, and they would fly over and do circles like the ribbon. That was a
Yeah,
good one.
they would have a spotlight.
Yeah, the
And so
spotlight.
it requires timing. It definitely requires timing.
Yeah, yeah.
that's awesome. And I know, man, that'd be super cool having some helicopters.
Yeah,
Um,
and the planes, like especially in Texas, they fly over for games and everything, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Parking spot too. Yeah, you guys can get that pretty easy if you just reach out either to your local, your mayor or your county exec, or a military person. You may want to reach out to them as well. They will do it. Just ask.
That's it.
Some other things that were brought up in the chat. One, which I think I'm glad she'd mentioned it because I had it on my thing, was shorten your event hours so that the schedule feels packed and full. Because nothing is worse than what I would call hitting the 3 o'clock brick wall. And it's like 3 a.m., back when we had it overnight. And I mean, there's like nothing going on and you're just like so exhausted. And then from there, it's like lasts forever. And I think for the most part, we've all kind of realized, hey, we can raise the same amount of money in half the amount of time. So, having that, shortened, whether it's, 4, 6, 8 hours or whatever, just constantly having something going on. And I think also another thing that helps that I've had at times, and it was an amazing event. And then when you don't have it, you realize if you have a good DJ or MC, so someone that can like keep it going, and like especially if they have some sort of like wireless mic that they can actually walk around to the campsites and be like, oh, what are you saying? Like just kind of keep it flowing like you would if you had a state, something on a stage. Because they can really, especially if they're a good personality, can, go over and, get more people involved with the games and, stuff like that. And let people know what they're selling and, all sorts of, just keep it lively.
I know one of the events that, go ahead.
Oh, it was very quick. It's when you have a lull, we have used dance parties, or I know a few of us are movie buffs, but bring out your big blow up screen and do a movie night. Some people would come to our relay in New York specifically for movie night because you can sell separate tickets, or a team may be sponsoring that. So those are just some thoughts for the lulls.
Oh, that's a great idea. I've never done a movie night at an event, but that would be a really good idea, especially if you're going overnight, get, something that's kind of kid friendly and bring those teenagers in right after midnight, give the parents like a little bit of a break there. I had an event once, and this was something that I think that I have really tried to encourage, is to get my events to partner with other organizations in the town. I know my local event, we partner with the community library, or the public library. They come out and give a book away to all kids. We partner with the cooperative extension service. And so we have done, at one of my events, I had a team. Our theme that year was something to do with farming, and I don't remember the actual title of it, but they partnered with the local cooperative extension service and the University of Kentucky to bring in the mobile milking lab. And of course, I grew up on a dairy farm, and so I have seen it all my life and I know what it is, but you would be really surprised at how many kids think that milk comes from the shelf on a grocery store. They really do not know how or where it comes from. And so there was a demonstration, every, 45 minutes to an hour, for several hours during the day. They passed out good milk. And of course, then we tied it in, ACS rolled it back into, good nutrition, strong bones, those kinds of things. And, that was another thing to engage your kids. But, it was also, a way that it showed the community, hey, ACS just doesn't, they're not just here for ACS, like they're willing to partner with other places, whether it be hospitals, cooperative extension, public libraries. They want to work together. And so that's something else I think we can all work better to do. There's a hand raised.
Tracy, did you have your hand up?
Yes. So I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and basically I don't do my relay in Richmond. I do it in Goochland, which is a small town west of here. We have 13 remarkable ladies on the committee. And the most thing that people come to ours for, and I wish I could get them to participate for longer periods of time, but they come for our luminaria ceremony. We put everybody's name, not like every bag, but if there's one bag is bought for them, we put their name on the screen, like you said, the movie screen. I bought one of those and we put it up and let it scroll. We tried for years to do it like Star Trek does, but we could never get it to work that way. But we flip slides so that everybody's name is on that screen, and people will congregate around it and just wait for their person or their bag name to show up. And it's really great way to get people. And we have people come just for the luminaria ceremony and then go home. So that's what we're known for.
That's awesome. I love, we've had some people do the scrolling names and even sometimes add pictures, and then they kind of keep it going. And then, once we've done it 5 or 6 years and they just keep adding to it, it's like, okay, like it's getting real long. But it's so great when you get to see those pictures and the names, and it's crazy how quiet it gets, because, you always hope that it's quiet during Luminaria, but sometimes when you have something visual like that with the names, it just kind of makes everyone stop in their place.
Well, and we also do it in conjunction with reading the names. So we do the ceremony as like a poem to begin with, and what the whole premise behind it is, and then we read every name and have volunteers go back and forth. So it's not the same voice on every name, and we all get choked up at our people. So we try not to schedule ourselves during our people kind of things. But yeah, it's very it gets to be very emotional, but everybody loves it.
Yeah. I know one thing that, like we were talking about before, I think we always think of, everything has to be, the bigger, the better. And I don't think that's necessarily true with all of our events. Like we've said, a lot of the things that have made it wow, was, kind of the small, intimate part of it. But one thing that I would encourage everyone to do, I had a really good volunteer in the Houston area, and she was fabulous about making the event experience. And so she would really be like, okay, I'm a participant, I'm walking in the door, or I'm walking up to, like, what do I first see? And, kind of take it from there and go from their eyes of how you want them to experience the event. And then really put in some of those details, like, when they're walking up to the, like, if you're at a football field, when they're walking up, where are they going to see the signs to point them where they need to go? What's the first, is there going to be someone there? Just kind of thinking about how they're going to walk throughout the facility and participate in your event, and really just, think about it from their point of view. And then once you do that, you can add certain little things that will really improve the event experience, which then would add the wow, because then they realize, I've never had to think like, or ask someone, where's the restroom? Because I saw the, I saw the sign, or, whatever. So did y'all have anything else And Donna has her hand up.
I have my hand up. Well, we don't do this at the event, but we do it at our survivor dinner.
Mm-hmm.
We have, well, it's not a couple of times, I guess they were professional photographers, but we take a picture of each of our survivors when they come in at the dinner. And it can be just them, or it can be them and a guest. We let them bring one guest, and we take their picture. And then our dinner is normally a week before our event, so we hustle around to get those printed, and then we hand them out to them at the event. Or if they don't happen to be at the event, then we mail them to them. But we've done that for several years, and people seem to really like that.
That's a great little keepsake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's super fun.
One of the other things we added to the luminaria lap, we give each one a little candle, and they place it in one of the HOPE letters. And by the end of the lap, it's all lit up, and it's really nice, really nice.
That's awesome. I know for some reason in Luminaria ceremony, whenever there's ever hope in the stands, or people have the Christmas lights around the letter, or even just the big chalkboard letters, for some reason that just always gets me.
Yeah, I think I'd like to share one other thing.
Yeah.
We also volunteer. We help with strides too. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And this year, I was asked to help with the Hope Tree.
Okay.
And your artificial Christmas tree,
yeah,
whether it's metal or whatever. We had made up a cancer ribbon, and in the survivor village, we asked each one of the survivors to write their name and put the length of time that they have been a survivor, and to put the ribbon on the tree. We made it a hope tree. And just one of those things that just popped, as they were putting it on the tree or they were preparing it, I would take a picture with my phone or their phone and then send it to them. And the tree turned out truly beautiful. The people just loved having the pictures. So that's another thing. So have a hope tree.
I love that idea. And you could even, so I'm sure it was awesome I'm sure it was, because it was at Stride, so it's probably all the pink ribbons.
Of course it was pink
Yeah.
ribbon. But
I definitely do all different colors.
I guess we'll do it for Relay this year.
Yeah.
So, but it's a great idea, because the survivors actually, some of them even wrote a message, or like, I'm so thankful, I'm so blessed, I'm so this. And I mean, it was an emotional time as they were putting that ribbon on the tree. It was just something cut out and all prepared.
Yeah. And what a great way to repurpose a holiday tree.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, it was one of those, like ones you put together with metal, one.
Mm-hmm.
Could be anything you want, and I decorated it with some garland and stuff, pink, whatever. But you can do anything with that.
And when the ladies were filling out their ribbons, because I'm also a survivor too, when they were filling out their ribbons, it was kind of like arts and craft. It wasn't just a ribbon there with a marker. You can bedazzle it. There was pink bedazzle. So yes, we are stealing that for Purple Nation. And so and you can use different types of arts and crafts to bejewel out your ribbon and then go put it on. It was really, 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 really nice.
I love that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to put all sorts of glitter on mine.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that Strides does that I see some relays do, but not totally. It started about 2 or 3 years ago, Strides Detroit. We're kind of all over the map, ladies. So Strides Detroit.
I love it.
Had started instead of, because it was virtual, they had a graphic artist do 3 slides. So you can pick in memory of, or thinking of you, or keep, you're strong, you're powerful. And it would add instead of selling luminarias, they sold a slide. And the slide could have the name. I think this year they added the photo. But then they took that slide and it was on their website. So it's another
Rolled across the top.
another source of income for your website in addition to luminarias. And I know they sold thousands of them out of Detroit. They did it again this year with photos, but you can then be a little more creative and print out those slides and use them as not lawn signs, but put them on an 8x11 and on a cardstock, and now you can put them as a flag
Carry them
around
around.
as well.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. Well, we have reached our time. It's 9 here, so that means it's 8 some of you guys, and 6 in some other areas, 7 in some other areas. But if you want to continue sharing, we'll keep it recording, and I'll stay on while we keep recording. But I do have one request. First, let's thank Rebecca and Amanda and everyone for sharing. Donna, Mary, Michelle, everybody's had such. This has been fantastic. All the ideas. I think we all have wow factors that hook us. I've always said if we can just get people to a relay event or a Strides event or an ACS event, if we can just get them there, we've got them hooked. And especially keeping the key of not getting people burned out, not burning our volunteers out, not burning our staff out, not burning our teams out. But how can we do something, keeping traditions alive, but also reinventing it in a way to add something new in? So we're super excited. Keep sharing those ideas. I have one final request for you. If you have been on every single session, I would love for you to put your name in the chat. If you've been on every single session that we've had this week, because we have a special shout out that we're going to do for you guys. But so if you've been able to make every single session, I've seen some of the same names every single time we've been on the last 2 weeks. Please be sure to put your name. I have some special prizes that we're going to be giving away. So Jill and Heidi and Judy and Michelle and Mary, like different people that's done that. Be sure. Staff, you don't count. Sorry, you don't get that. We don't get giveaways, right? So, but if you have been on every session, please put it in the chat, because we're going to do some special drawings for some event goodie packs that we've put together that will send you to your event to hand out for giveaways and things like that too. Yay. All right. Well, we are so excited about tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is our closing ceremony. We're going to have some fantastic awards, fantastic videos, not just from you guys, but from different employees, as well as Lisa Adair, our fabulous director, and our head honcho boss is what we like to call him. But Dan, we're going to have a special appearance from him tomorrow night too. So we hope to see you guys tomorrow night, and keep sharing the ideas. Keep going to Facebook. And Adeline, you want to say goodnight? All right. My kids are still awake. Yes. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, look at that
Bye,
tree.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.